What are the real reasons someone fails? Have you ever wondered why some people seem to succeed effortlessly, while others, despite trying just as hard, keep falling short? The truth is, failure is rarely about luck. It's rarely about talent. It's rarely about timing. Most people fail long before they even get a chance to succeed. Not because they can't, but because of five invisible traps that quietly destroy potential. Lack of consistency, fear of failure, blaming others, unclear goals, and a negative mindset. These aren't excuses. They're patterns. Invisible habits that steal your energy, distract your focus, and stop you from taking the steps that lead to success. In this script, we're going to uncover the real reasons people fail, the hidden forces that hold them back. We'll explore how tiny, everyday choices determine whether someone rises or stays stuck. And by the end, you'll see that failure isn't a punishment, it's a signal that tells you where change is needed and how you can take control of your life. Because once you understand these five reasons, you'll stop repeating the same mistakes. You'll stop blaming circumstances or waiting for luck. You'll see exactly what it takes to rise, even when it feels impossible. This isn't about motivation. This isn't about hype. This is about truth. The truth about why people fail and how you can make sure you don't. One, lack of consistency. Have you ever noticed how excited people feel at the beginning of something new? A new goal, a new dream, a new plan to change their life. The energy is high. The motivation feels powerful. They promise themselves, this time I'm going to do it. They wake up early. They start working out. They start learning a new skill. They begin building the life they once only imagined. For the first few days, everything feels possible, but then something slowly begins to change. The excitement fades, the progress feels slow, the results aren't showing up fast enough, and suddenly that powerful motivation starts to disappear. The alarm rings in the morning, but this time they hit snooze. The workout they promised themselves gets postponed. The work they plan to do gets delayed. One day turns into two. 2 days turn into a week. And before they realize it, they stop completely. Not because they weren't capable, not because they weren't talented, but because they lacked one simple thing: consistency. Here is the truth most people never talk about. Success is rarely about big moments. It is about small actions repeated every single day. The people you admire, the people who achieved great things, the people who built incredible lives, they didn't rely on motivation. They relied on discipline and consistency. Because motivation is powerful, but motivation is also temporary. There will be days when you feel inspired, days when you feel unstoppable, but there will also be days when you feel tired, days when you feel discouraged, days when nothing seems to be working. And on those days, consistency becomes more important than motivation. Think about a small drop of water. One drop seems weak. But if that drop falls in the same place again and again and again, eventually it can carve through solid stone. Not because it is powerful, but because it is consistent. The same rule applies to your life. Reading a few pages every day may not feel like much. Practicing your skill for 30 minutes may not seem important. Working on your dream a little each day might feel insignificant. But over time, those small actions begin to compound. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, months turn into years. And suddenly the person who stayed consistent becomes someone extraordinary. While others, who started with more talent, who started with more motivation, who started with bigger dreams, disappear. Because they quit too early. Consistency separates those who wish from those who achieve. Many people fail not because their dream was impossible, but because they stopped before the results arrived. They planted the seed, but they didn't stay long enough to see it grow. Imagine planting a tree. You water it for a few days. Then you look at the soil and say, nothing is happening, so you stop. But the truth is, growth was happening, just not where you could see it. The roots were forming underground. Strength was building silently. And if you had stayed consistent, one day that small seed would have broken through the surface. But too many people quit during the invisible stage, the stage where progress is quiet, the stage where success is being built behind the scenes, the stage where consistency matters the most. The truth is, great things are rarely built overnight. Muscles are not built in a day. Skills are not mastered in a week. Dreams are not achieved in a month. They are built slowly, step by step, day by day, with patience, with discipline, and most importantly, with consistency. Look at the people who succeed in any field: athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, leaders. Their secret is not magic. Their secret is repetition. They show up every day. Even when they don't feel like it, even when progress is slow, even when nobody is watching, they continue because they understand something powerful. Consistency beats intensity. Working extremely hard for a few days, then quitting, will never beat someone who works steadily every day. A person who practices a skill for 20 minutes every day for a year will outperform someone who practices for 10 hours once and then stops. Small actions, repeated over time, create massive results. So if you feel like giving up today, if you feel like your progress is too slow, if you feel like your effort doesn't matter, remember this. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be the most talented. You don't need to have everything figured out. You only need one thing: the courage to keep going, even when motivation disappears. Even when progress feels invisible, even when doubt whispers in your mind, show up, do the work, take the next step, because the people who win in life are not always the fastest. They are not always the smartest. They are simply the ones who refuse to stop. One day of effort may not change your life, but 1,000 days of effort absolutely will. So don't focus on doing something huge today. Focus on doing something small, but doing it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Because consistency turns effort into progress, progress into growth, and growth into success. And one day, you will look back and realize something incredible. The dream you once thought was impossible became real, not because of one big moment, but because you chose day after day to keep going. 2. Fear of failure. Have you ever stopped yourself from doing something you really wanted? Not because you weren't capable, not because you lacked talent, but simply because you were afraid. That fear of failing, it's invisible, it whispers in your mind. It tells you things like, what if I'm not good enough? What if I make a fool of myself? What if I try and it all falls apart? And just like that, you pause, you hesitate. You convince yourself to wait. The truth is, fear doesn't just make you nervous. It stops you from taking the first step. And most people fail not because they can't succeed, but because they never even try. Think about it. Every successful person you admire, every person who achieved greatness, every innovator, every artist, every entrepreneur, they all started in the same place, with fear. They felt the doubt. They felt the worry. They felt that sinking feeling in their stomach that screamed, this could go wrong. And yet, they moved forward anyway. Because they understood something powerful. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of it. You see, failing doesn't mean you are weak. It doesn't mean you are incapable. It doesn't mean you should give up. Failing means you are trying. Failing means you are learning. Failing means you are growing. But fear keeps you from reaching that stage. Fear keeps you safe in your comfort zone. Fear tells you that inaction is safer than risk. And so you stay where you are. You dream silently. You hope quietly. You watch others do the things you never dared to try. The pain of regret is far heavier than the pain of failure, because failure is temporary. Failure is a teacher. Failure is a stepping stone. Regret lasts forever. Regret is the voice that haunts you years later, the voice that says, remember when you could have tried but you did. Here's the truth. The only way to conquer fear, the only way to overcome failure, is to move forward despite it. Take that first step. Send that email. Apply for that job. Speak up. Start that project. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be brave enough to act in spite of fear. Most people imagine failure as a huge, terrifying monster, but in reality, it's usually smaller than you think, and the lessons it brings are bigger than you can imagine. Every time you fail, you learn. Every time you stumble, you grow stronger. Every time you fall, you discover something new about yourself. Fear tells you you might fail. Courage whispers you might succeed, and the choice is always yours. The people who change their lives, the people who achieve their dreams, they didn't wait for fear to disappear. They didn't wait for confidence to appear. They acted anyway. They embraced the discomfort. They embraced the uncertainty. They embraced the possibility of failure. And that is how they won. So if you are standing at the edge looking at a new opportunity, feeling your heart race, feeling doubt creep in, ask yourself this: would I rather fail or regret never trying? Because fear will always be there. But regret only comes if you let it. Take the step, make the move, try, fail, learn, and try again. Because the only true failure is never starting at all. And one day, you will look back and realize all the times you were afraid, all the times you hesitated, all the times you thought you might fail, were just moments preparing you for the success that was waiting on the other side. Fear of failure is natural, fear is normal, but letting fear control your life, that is optional. Step forward anyway, take the first step. And watch your life change, not because you avoided failure, but because you refused to let fear stop you from trying. 3. Blaming others instead of taking responsibility. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to point fingers? It's always someone else's fault, isn't it? The boss didn't recognize your work. The economy is too hard. The system is broken. Your friends, your family, your coworkers, someone else must be to blame. And in that moment it feels good. It feels safe. Because when you blame someone else, you don't have to change. You don't have to do the hard work. You don't have to face the truth about your own choices. But here's the problem. Blaming others is a trap. It keeps you small. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you running in circles, always complaining, never growing. Think about it. Every time you say, I failed because they didn't help me. I failed because life isn't fair. I failed because I didn't have luck on my side. You are giving away your power. You are handing control of your life to circumstances, to people, to things you cannot control. And the worst part, it doesn't solve anything. The work still needs to be done. The problem still exists. The opportunity still waits, and you are nowhere near it. Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Life doesn't owe you anything. Circumstances will never be perfect. People will never act exactly the way you want. But you do owe it to yourself to take responsibility. You do owe it to yourself to own your actions, your mistakes, your life. Taking responsibility is not about blame. It's not about guilt. It's about power. Because the moment you stop blaming, the moment you stop pointing fingers, you start taking action. You start learning from your mistakes. You start fixing what you can. You start moving forward. Look at successful people. They don't sit around blaming the world. They don't waste energy wishing circumstances were different. They look at their situation and ask, what can I do about this? What can I learn? What can I change? And that mindset changes everything. Because here's the secret: mistakes will happen, problems will come, failures will occur, but how you respond, that is your choice. Blaming others keeps you stuck. Taking responsibility sets you free. Imagine a person stranded in a storm. They could shout at the rain. They could curse the wind. They could blame the clouds. Or they could build a shelter. They could find a way forward. They could survive. The difference is in the choice. Every time you blame someone else, you stay in the storm. Every time you take responsibility, you start building your shelter. Responsibility is not punishment. Responsibility is power in disguise. It's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. It's the moment you say, I may not control everything that happens to me, but I do control how I respond. And the incredible thing is, when you take responsibility, the world stops feeling like an enemy. Opportunities begin to appear, mistakes become lessons, challenges become growth. Because you are no longer waiting for luck, you are no longer waiting for others. You are taking control of your life, step by step, decision by decision. The people who succeed, the people who achieve their dreams, they are not the luckiest. They are not the most favored. They are simply the ones who chose responsibility over excuses. So ask yourself honestly today, are you blaming others for your problems? Or are you willing to take ownership and do whatever it takes to create the life you want? Because blaming others may feel easy, but it leads nowhere. Taking responsibility may feel hard, but it leads everywhere. Every failure becomes a lesson. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity. Every challenge becomes a step forward. And that is how people transform their lives. Stop giving your power away. Stop pointing fingers. Stop waiting for someone else to change your life. Step up, take responsibility, own your mistakes, own your actions, own your life. And watch, the moment you do, everything begins to change. Because responsibility doesn't limit you, it frees you. And freedom is the first step to greatness. For lack of clear goals, have you ever felt busy all day, only to realize at the end of the day that you haven't really accomplished anything? You worked hard, you moved fast, you tried your best, but somehow nothing seems to add up. The truth is, this happens to so many people because they don't have a clear goal. Without a clear direction, life can feel like sailing a ship in the dark, drifting wherever the waves take you. Every effort you make is wasted energy. Every move is scattered. Every step feels random. You may have talent, you may have skills, you may even have drive. But without clarity, that talent, those skills, that drive, they don't take you anywhere meaningful. Think about it. Imagine trying to reach a destination, but you don't know where you want to go. You set sail, left, right, forward, back. You row, you paddle, you try to navigate. But without a map, without a clear destination, no matter how hard you work, you end up exactly where you started. And this is exactly what happens in life. Many people fail not because they aren't capable, not because they aren't working hard, not because they don't have the potential. They fail because they never take the time to define what success looks like for them. A goal is not just a wish. A goal is not a vague idea. A goal is a specific target that gives your actions direction. Without it, everything becomes random. You spend time on things that don't matter. You chase things that don't move you forward. You measure success by the wrong standards. But when you have a clear goal, everything changes. Your mind focuses. Your energy aligns. Your decisions become easier. You know what to say yes to and what to say no to. Goals act like a compass. They guide you through the chaos. They keep you moving forward even when motivation fades. Think about the people who succeed in any field. Athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, leaders. They all started with a clear goal. Not just I want to be successful, not just I want to be happy, they said. I will run a marathon in 6 months. I will start this business and make it profitable in a year. I will master this skill by practicing 1 hour every day. A clear goal gave them purpose. It gave them a path. It gave them a reason to push forward even when it was hard. Without a goal, every effort is scattered. With a goal, every effort compounds. Every small step adds up. Every action builds momentum. Every day becomes meaningful. And here's the most important part. Clarity is not just about knowing what you want. It's about knowing why you want it. Why does this goal matter to you? Why does it excite you? Why does it push you to keep going when others would quit? Because goals without purpose are easy to abandon. Goals with purpose become unstoppable forces. So if you feel stuck, if you feel like life is moving but you are, if you feel like you're working hard but getting nowhere, stop for a moment. Ask yourself, what do I truly want? What is my target? What is the life I am trying to create? Write it down, define it, be specific, be intentional. Because once you do, everything else becomes easier. Your time will be spent wisely. Your energy will be focused. Your decisions will align with your vision. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you will start moving in the right direction. The scattered efforts, the wasted time, the frustration all begin to disappear. Instead, you gain momentum. You gain confidence. You gain clarity. And that, my friend, is how people move from failure to success. Not just hard work, not just talent, not just luck, but direction. Clear, defined, purposeful goals. So today, take a moment. Stop moving without direction. Stop drifting. Stop guessing. Decide where you want to go. Define your destination. Set your goal. Because without a goal, you are just wandering. But with a goal, you are unstoppable. And that clarity will turn all your effort into progress into growth, and growth into the life you've always dreamed of. 5. Negative mindset. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, I can't do this. It's too hard. I'm not good enough. Maybe it started as a small thought, just a fleeting worry. But then it grew, and suddenly, it's the voice you hear every day. This is what I want you to understand. A negative mindset is not just a thought. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. The moment you believe you can't, the moment you tell yourself it's impossible, you are already limiting your potential before you even try. Think about it for a moment. Some of the most successful people, some of the greatest achievers in history didn't start with a guarantee of success. They weren't the smartest. They weren't the most talented. They weren't handed the perfect circumstances. What separated them from those who gave up was their mindset. Because a positive mindset doesn't mean life is easy. It doesn't mean obstacles disappear. It doesn't mean you will never fail. A positive mindset means you believe in possibility. It means you believe that challenges are opportunities, not walls. It means you know that effort, persistence, and learning can change your outcome. On the other hand, a negative mindset acts like a virus. It spreads quietly. It infects every decision you make. It makes risks feel dangerous. It makes opportunities seem impossible. It convinces you that your effort doesn't matter, so you stop trying. Think about the thoughts you carry in your mind every day. I'm not smart enough. I'll never get this right. I don't deserve success. Every time you repeat those thoughts, you are training your brain to fail. Because your brain starts to believe what you tell it. It starts to look for evidence that confirms your negative beliefs. And suddenly, every setback feels permanent. Every challenge feels impossible. Every dream feels out of reach. But here's the truth most people don't realize. Your mindset is a choice. Yes, life can be hard. Yes, challenges will come. Yes, there will be moments that test you. But you have the power to decide how you respond. You can choose to listen to the voice that says, I can't. Or you can choose to replace it with, I can learn, I can try, I can grow. Because the moment you change your thoughts, everything changes. A positive mindset doesn't ignore reality. It doesn't pretend failure won't happen. It doesn't make everything easy. It simply tells you this. I have the ability to improve. I have the strength to try. I have the courage to keep going. And that mindset, that simple shift in thinking, can turn fear into action, doubt into determination, limitation into possibility. Let me give you an example. Two people start learning the same skill. One thinks, I'll never get this. I'm not talented. The other thinks, this is hard, but I can figure it out if I keep practicing. The first person stops after a few failures. The second person keeps going, learns, improves, eventually masters it. It wasn't talent that made the difference. It wasn't luck. It was mindset. Negative thoughts kill potential before it has a chance to grow. Positive thoughts nurture potential until it becomes reality. So if you catch yourself thinking, I can't, it's impossible, I'm not good enough, stop. Challenge that thought. Replace it with action-oriented thinking. Ask yourself, what if I could? What small step can I take today? What can I learn from this challenge? The journey may still be hard. The obstacles may still be real. But your mindset, your inner belief, will determine whether you rise or fall. Because life doesn't give opportunities to the most talented. It gives them to the most persistent. It gives them to those who refuse to let fear, doubt, and negativity control them. Your thoughts are powerful. Your words are powerful. The story you tell yourself every day is shaping your future. So don't let negativity dictate your life. Don't let doubt define your potential. Don't let fear of failure silence your dreams. Choose a mindset that builds you up, not tears you down. Choose thoughts that empower, not limit. Choose belief, effort, and resilience every single day. Because the only thing standing between you and what you want is the story you tell yourself about what is possible. Change the story. Change your mind. And watch how your life transforms before your very eyes. Your potential is not gone. It's never gone. It's waiting for you to believe it and step into it. So now you know the truth. Failure doesn't come from lack of talent. It doesn't come from bad luck. It doesn't come from circumstances beyond your control. It comes from the choices you make every single day. It comes from stopping too soon, letting fear hold you back, blaming others, drifting without a clear direction, and feeding your mind with negativity. But here's the beautiful part. The same things that cause failure are also the things that create success when you do them differently. Consistency. Take the small steps every day. Courage. Step forward even when fear is whispering in your ear. Responsibility. Own your life, your actions, and your mistakes. Clarity. Know exactly where you're going and why it matters. Mindset. Believe in your potential and refuse to let negativity define you. You have the power to rewrite your story. You have the power to turn mistakes into lessons, setbacks into stepping stones, dreams into reality. Because success isn't about avoiding failure, it's about refusing to let it stop you. So today, make the choice. Show up for yourself. Take ownership of your life. Step forward with courage. Focus on your goal. And believe not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Remember this, the only real failure is giving up. Everything else is feedback. Everything else is fuel. Everything else is preparing you to rise. Rise above consistency that falters. Rise above fear that freezes you. Rise above blame that drains you. Rise above confusion that scatters you. Rise above negativity that tells you you can't. Because you can, you will. And one day, you'll look back and realize that all the times you almost quit were just the moments shaping the person who refused to fail. Stand up, step forward, and never ever let the real reasons for failure define your life. You decide your story, you decide your success, and that is power.